Oh, here we go. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. I don't know in which time zone you are, but thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to continue celebrating World Intellectual Property Day, which was celebrated basically last week on the 26th April, but we still continue the conversation on IP Day, and also which is named this year on the name of women. And we would like to discuss the impact and the benefits and also the challenges that intellectual property system has for women. And women play different roles in intellectual property system as users, as beneficiaries, oftentimes as policymakers, and also as developers of the system. Women are contributing to development of intellectual property system, even on the developed countries side, the developing countries side. And there is also like some sort of misconception or like lack of awareness on the extent that women can use intellectual property system, and also the level that they can be engaged in this system. Because I would always say that like intellectual property is the new normal. We needed it under the digital economy. This is the very necessary component of today economy and today trade activities and technology world. So we cannot deny the use and advancement of intellectual property system. And of course, the role and involvement of women in this system is not only limited or somehow dedicated to patent or technology. Women also play a role in other aspects of intellectual property system, from the copyright side, from branding side. Even women in local communities as producers, as entrepreneurs, they have a role to play in this system. So there are different components that women can have a word in this system. And also today we will be more and more focused on the somehow the work that women can do or are doing in this domain, like as the carrier side and also as the user side. And we have our distinguished guests here to start the debate. And on behalf of the I3PM committee, we have also initiated a survey to women users, which my colleague Merve has been in charge. And we would like, before just starting the conversation with our amazing speakers, we would like to present a brief of the study that has been done, and then we can start the conversation. Thank you so much for being with us. Merve, pass to you.
Hello. First of all, I would like to thank all of our speakers today, Deepika, Sabine, Santjie. Although we cannot see you yet, hopefully we will see you in the following minutes of the discussion. Also, I would like to thank all of the participants of the survey. I just wanted to have a brief discussion about the outcomes of the survey, and I'm going to share my screen with you in a moment. Yes. So I hope it's. I hope you can see it now. So we have a couple of questions in the survey. So one of the questions was that the age distribution, and we have a good age distribution of the participants. Majority was between 30 and around 55. So all of them in at a mid level of their professional life. And the number of years of experience was also very well distributed. We have mostly people starting from 6 years to 16 or more years of experience. And the role of the participants in IP was mainly prosecution. We had also IP managers, administrators, innovation drivers, and deal makers, a few litigators, and from all parts of IP, basically, we had some participants. Of course, the survey was about the kinds of other roles that the women in IP take on. So when we look at it, we see that yes, all of us has other roles other than our professional lives, and in this sense, being a family chef, primary caregiver to a young, being a household manager or a financial planner makes up half of the participants. So one of our participants also said that she's the chief time turner, and has the magical ability to create more hours in the day to manage all the above, including taxi driving, coaching, providing emotional support, etc. So yes, this pretty much sums up the other roles of the participants. And the ecosystem surrounding career advancement for women, we had some options like I have been sufficiently supported, I don't seek career advancement, etc. But we see that most of the people say that they could be better supported, or the career support they have received is insufficient or inadequate. But there are some lucky people, like 10%, who say that yes, there's enough support if you know how to get it. And some of the comments of the participants was like this. For example, one person said that it's very difficult for women to make a career advancement in IP because they are supposed to take challenging exams in their 30s and 40s when they should also create their family. And also, one of the other participants said that career counseling in the field of IP is not available and specialized career opportunities are not available. So these were valuable feedbacks for us. We also asked the participants if they have ever participated in a talent or leadership development program, and the majority of them said that no, there was no such program. So we also asked what type of female talent management was present in their organization, and the 64% of them said that their organization does not have a female talent management program. Some of them said that there's a talent management program, but not specific for women, etc. But the majority is there was no talent management. And some of the comments were that most of them said have seen very few talent management, and when whether if they have received some achievement, it was by their own will and not because they were supported. So we also asked the applicant, the survey takers, how satisfied they are in their current role in IPN. Luckily, most of them are satisfied, but a few of them are not satisfied. So when we look at the feedback, we see that they consider that the hierarchies are making it difficult to own their own career, or they have to balance between work and family, which makes them difficult to have the IP job of their dreams. Also, even though there are no gender bias, it's the IP itself is not always visible in the corporations, and also they are not supported in their skills. We also asked them if they ever thought of leaving the first workforce, and most of them do not think, but it's a very close gap. We also asked them which measures would best support their aspirations for a fulfilling career in IP, and the majority said that hybrid or remote working options, flexible working hours, better salary, or mentorship would help them to have a better and fulfilling career in IP. In terms of workplace experiences, we see that interestingly, the females experience being talked over in a meeting quite a lot, and also lack of career advancement and a work-life imbalance. So when we look at the testimonials of the participants, we see that some of them has, for example, found out that they have started with a much lower salary than others that were hired at their level, but they had good managers and who has advocated for them and received a raise. Or some of the employees are having problems because being single and they were told that they are made stay late into the night because they are considered as having nothing to do in the evening because they don't have kids. So this is a very fast summary of the survey results. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Mara. Thank you. And so, as we can see, there are a lot of, gaps still to be filled in this area, right? When I started my IP career, I remember that everyone was like, this is a man job, or even what is IP. And for me, originally coming from Iran, everyone was like, we don't need intellectual property in Iran. What is intellectual property role indeed? So we really had to fight a lot to make the IP culture working in the industry. So yeah, so Sabine, over to you. If you can share with us what you're doing, what are you up to, what are the opportunities and challenges that you have in this amazing IP world.
The amazing IP world. Yes, I've been part of this world. It'll be 30 years this summer. So it's a long time that I've spent in IP. And I've held a number of different roles. I'm a project manager now, so I do project work and process work, which happens to be very well suited to me as a person, and it's also beneficial to have an IP background. I originally started out as a paralegal. So in Germany, we have a vocational degree for that. So that's what I did for many years until I hit, I think, a natural ceiling. Okay, so that just got a bit boring for me. I did docketing. So at one point it just wasn't enough. That's generally my tendency. Things are not enough. I want to think broader, think bigger, think wider. So I think I bumped into the problems that we've heard in the survey. So technically, we are still finding, although that is changing, and I'll speak to that in a minute, very set job descriptions. Okay, so the first thing is we find we have maybe a variety of 4 different job descriptions, which, to be quite honest, doesn't really reflect how we work in IP at all anymore, as far as I'm concerned. And I speak from experience. I can definitely share that for many years, it's actually quite interesting. For many years, the fact that I always wanted to push boundaries always meant that I was looked at like a bit of a funny animal. Okay. And a lot of the time I've heard, well, it's an interesting expertise, but we don't really know where to place you. Okay. It's only in recent years that the value of the expertise I've gained is not just recognized, but very much sought after. I can definitely tell you that. And if you would allow me just a few comments from my personal learning. Now, first of all, yes, it's still a male-dominated industry. I think we can agree on that. There's various firms that have different approaches. We can agree on that as well, I think. And there's not a lot yet available in terms of actual advice or counseling for career progression. Generally, not just for us women, but that includes, to a large part, us women. My experience has been, don't wait for someone to discover you, okay? Don't wait and sit back and think, but doesn't anyone see that I can do more or better things? No, people don't see that. And one thing I think we can agree on, and I hope I'm not treading on any toes here, the IP profession is not known for being brilliantly managed. Now, why is that the case? Because we are expecting patent attorneys, who by definition aren't trained managers and people managers, to do that job. Now, I think that's the first thing we want to look at in the future, to make sure that the people that manage others are actually equipped to do so. But I would say, don't wait for someone to discover you. If you feel that you want to do something, and obviously it has a business value, okay? So if you, I don't know, if for me, my direction is sort of business development, strategic business development, project work. If you feel something is your cup of tea, create that need. If you see that there's a need in the industry, create that need, make that need visible, and reach out to your network. Reach out to your network and make sure that you connect with people who have actually pursued different paths, or be a trailblazer and pursue that path. What I didn't see in the survey, which I find concerning, is many other roles that are needed and increasingly present in the world of IP, but clearly not on everyone's radar yet. And it's what I just mentioned. It's business development, it's marketing, it's project work, it's process improvement work. It's all of these things that are increasingly needed ever since we've seen that we no longer work for our clients according to a template, but clients quite rightfully come to us with their own specific environments and demands and requests. And increasingly, we are being asked, again, quite rightfully, I find, to anticipate the needs of the people we work with. So we no longer wait to be instructed. I think it's an increasingly collaborative environment. And before I hand over, let me just suggest to you one book that has changed my life. Unfortunately, I've only started reading it a few months ago. I've recommended it before. I'll be recommending it until the day I die. It's this one right here, okay? How Women Rise, by Sally Hegelson and Marshall Goldsmith. I'll be posting it in the chat. Now, I tend to shy away from generalizations. I don't think they're always helpful, but I think it is quite clear that as women, we have some habits that we would do well to look at to have a much better chance, not just in IP, but generally everywhere. So with this being said, I'm handing over. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Sabina, for sharing your journey. It's really amazing to see and hear different perspective. Like coming from Germany, like which is quite advanced in terms of intellectual property. But you really like address a very relevant fact. And please correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes, especially on the tech side and technical side, I would think that the male-dominated society or sector, more specifically, would consider women that maybe they don't have enough expertise or knowledge to handle the case, because I'm personally like interacting with different IP firms that the management or like the main owners are women, and they always raise this issue that male inventors or innovators, they are always doubting to refer to this woman to assign their case. And even they come to me and they ask, okay, do you know any specific IP firm so that we can assign our case to them? And I'm like, yeah, I know this women group. They're really professional and they're really expert and they had a lot of international training experience. And they're like, but is their job really good? Can I trust them? So, like this is, I think, as I mentioned in the beginning, maybe the culture is not still there. Not everywhere, of course. We cannot compare Europe with other countries, and like what we always say in WIPO is like one size fit all policy doesn't exist, so you have to adopt a solution based on each and every country and each and every sector. So yeah, but it's like, as you mentioned, even like hearing that in Germany, there is still a huge gap to be filled. But thank you so much. And I would like to, if the audience has any sort of question to ask to Sabina, please feel free.
I also would like to point out, I no longer work in Germany. So I've worked in 5 different countries so far in the course of my career. And I'm now in England, and I tend to find that the Anglo-Saxon world is much more open to different approaches, is my personal experience.
Cool. So if we don't have any question at this stage, maybe we can pass to Deepika. So Deepika, over to you. Please give us an introduction about your background. What are you doing now? And what are the opportunities and challenges that you have had in your career? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's my first time, so I'm kind of a bit nervous, but I'll try my best. So actually, it was an interesting story how I landed up in IP, and I would like to take some moment to share with you all. It was around mid 2012, and I was a fresh biotechnology graduate, merely just 21 years old. But unlike any other biotech student who wanted to further study and go into some research work, I wanted to start working like as soon as possible and be independent. And another reason, a small reason, was behind that my father passed away in 2011. So I wanted to support my mother as well. So we were like fresh minds and looking for roles. And I somehow landed up in a website designing company in the beginning. And then one fine day, I was just sitting with my sister over tea, and she was asking me about how my job and work is going on. Basically, she was taking me a life update. And I told her that I'm doing good in my role and liking it, but it's still not giving me a spark to continue. So she told me she had a connection in an IP law firm and in India, and would you like to try? And still being a fresher, I got fascinated by the field. It was too new for me to understand. I was like, okay, let's go for it. And then I went for the interview. Everything went very well, and I got the job. So it was March 2013 when I started my actual career in IP. And today it's been like 2023, so it's already like 10 years I have completed in IP. And it's like the first job laid the foundation, and where I learned the fundamentals of IP and realized it's a field where you need to gain knowledge every day and like to be on your toes and to be up to date every day. And I have worked in different countries. Like so far, it's been three countries: India, Singapore, and in France. And I've worked a little bit in Germany as well. With my previous organization. And now I feel I have a stronger sense of purpose. The work we do makes an impact in people lives, be it energy, healthcare, sustainability, vision, etc. And I mean, currently in my organization, SLR Luxottica, we have this mission to help people see more and be more. And I believe IP has a strong role to play in it. And when I come to talk about the difficulties and challenges I faced, or normally people faced, or women faced in their career development in IP, I feel that in my early career years, there was a lack of awareness and opportunities in IP industry. I mean, I was working in IP, but if I tell people or my friends or my family that I'm working in an IP law firm, they somehow just remove the IP part. They only focus on the law firm, and they used to ask me, "Am I a lawyer?" Or if I'm working in a real estate firm, they never had focused on IP pretty much, because maybe they don't know about it. And there was no formal education in IP, at least in India, for that period of time, that we can go for a course to understand more about it. I'm sure there are right now. And I recently, EPO also have introduced a course named EPAC for IP administration, which is, I believe, very helping for men as well as women who wanted to, build their career in IP as a startup. And if I talk about more about women in IP, I mean, personally, I have been in many organizations in big teams, and the percentage of women and men were I would not say it was like too many men and too less women. But if I talk about the leadership roles, I feel there is still a gap of having women in IP leadership roles. In my 10 years of experience in 8 companies in 3 countries, 2 out of 8 leaders, which is only 25%, were female leaders, which I believe should be higher. And I believe women are equally capable to lead and balance their personal and professional lives. Female role models matter. Their representation in senior leadership position change gender stereotypes by providing female role models, and they become unconsciously associated with traditionally male-oriented leadership relevance. So I believe, a woman is strong enough who can balance multiple roles in IP field, and I mean in their work as well as in their personal lives. And I mean, I would what I did was like that. At one point of time, I felt like I'm stuck in a role in IP itself, and I do not know how to progress myself or know more about it. And and being ambitious, I wanted to learn like all different aspects of IP, like each and everything. So what I suggest or what I did was I started with self learning, because as I said, there was not very much awareness from people that what you can do, how you can grow in this field. So I started by myself by trying different types of role in different type of organizations, be it corporates, law firm, and right now I am in in-house IP department. And I build a strong network. And as Sabine also mentioned, that you should build a strong network of people and have some great mentors who can guide you throughout your journey. And if you have any doubts or ask like how you can progress in the IP sector, and I believe in the audience, I would recommend to build a good network which will help you in a long run and in your development. And you must explore, try new things, and take control of your career, be it IP or any other field. And don't think that companies are obliging you with jobs. Think that you are contributing to their mission, and develop the skill set which I in these years I developed a skill set to culturally adapt in different atmospheres. And it actually to be honest helped me to adapt working and living in different countries like India, Singapore, Germany, or France now. And now I find it very interesting to move to different place, try newer things, travel around, meet people with different backgrounds, cultures. And I am right now enjoying my current role. I feel that IP has a great good of helping people in different fields, and right now in vision. So, and I am very sure maybe in the audience, many of you will be wearing SLR spectacles, lenses too. So, I mean, at the end, I don't have a big statement to share, but as everybody know, being a woman, we always have to be strong to balance our life, our work, family, friends, because at the end, society demands a lot from women. And I hope that things which were not there in the past, I hope that now we have more opportunities in IP to grow our career and to be leaders. And I believe in our audience also, we must have few women who will lead in the coming futures in their respective roles. And again, thank you.
Thank you so much, Deepika. Thank you so much for sharing your insight. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you have both background. You have the background of IP in Asia and also in Europe, right? So
Yeah.
you have a witness and experience two continents somehow, if I can generalize.
Yes.
Of course,
Yes.
each and every country is different. But
Yes.
how would you see? I mean, do you see any difference in terms of acceptance and women?
As women
Yeah,
or
women role, of course. I mean, in general, we can have a lot of debate about
yeah,
women
yeah.
engagement and all these things and gender equality, equity, and etc. But in terms of IP and being a woman, IP woman, how you see different in different regions?
So, Sanaz, I know that this is a male dominant domain. I would say in many, especially as Sabine say, in the when you grow higher in like management roles or project management or business development, especially in those roles. But personally, in my experience, I have worked in a few organizations where the whole team of you can say, because I am a paralegal, I'm an IP paralegal, so the whole teams was women dominated. I mean currently my whole team is like women, just one guy. So I can say we are women dominant. In Singapore, even I have worked in Spruson and Ferguson. There was a law firm, and the whole team belongs to all women. So if you talk about the acceptance, personally, so far, touchwood, I feel that I did not felt any gender bias or some discrimination in the organization, be it India, Singapore, or in France also. I have, if you have the caliber, if you have the you have done good work, if you have the experience, I think you have been given a chance. Though we did not have, as per the survey question, we do not have a female talent pool in any of the organizations so far. And I thought when I saw in the survey, I thought, does it really exist? because I don't think so. That's normally companies have it. But otherwise, I felt that they, if you have a good experience, you have a good caliber to handle things, they give you a chance to be accepted by in the organization in IP. And yeah, I mean, you were given a chance to prove yourself, and then later it's all up to you how you do it. But yeah, of course, it can vary in different roles, in different. Yeah, if you go higher in leadership, then it may vary as per experiences from Sabine or Santjie, that it is more male dominant. But at my level, or even now, I mean, I can happily share that right now in my company, my whole team is female dominated, and we have a female leader. And when I got to know about it, I was so happy that it's the first time that like the highest boss is female in IP, and she's leading this fabulous team, amazingly handling all the different hats she can. So I think society is changing, and they are giving chances to women as well to dominate and lead in IP. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for providing, I mean, your insight, positive insight to that. I think, yeah, it's better to have like an interaction. Sabina has also some comments to add, but one thing is really, again, interesting. I think, I mean, Sabina, if you want to add something on this, please feel free. Sector base is also like each and every sector might be different, you know. I will address my own experience at a later stage, but I think maybe on the tech side, it's getting more and more progress, but in the other side of IP, not only having the IP role as the carrier, but also contributing to the IP system. So please, Sabina.
Yes, I would like to add to that. Thank you, Deepika, and I'll make room for Santjie in a minute, but there's some burning things I need to get off my chest. Now, the first thing I think for me, and I'm speaking just for myself here, it has helped me phenomenally. We know that there is a male bias still in our industry. That's okay. That's just a given for now, okay? It has helped me phenomenally to not view it as male versus female, okay? Or to not view ourselves in competition with one another. Ideally, I think for me, the ideal image would be there is a good mix. I personally prefer teams that are mixed. That's, and there have been teams that have been more male dominated or female dominated. I have no clear preference. It's a personality thing, to me, in my experience. The other thing is I have focused on, so there are these structural issues we're dealing with, and it can be cultural differences as well. However, I've started to focus on what can I change? What can I change? So I've noticed, not just in myself, but also other females that I've worked with, that very often we are usually the ones doubting ourselves. We are usually the ones not believing that we actually, can do something, or our work is of value. So I would very much like to encourage everyone, all the women on this call, everyone on this call, to say, do you actually see yourself the way you want to be seen? Do you see yourself like that? Do you believe you have a seat at that table that you have been invited to? So clearly others think you should have a seat at that table. Do you see the value of your role? Do you take ownership? Do you stand behind who you are and your expertise? And I think for me, that was a turning point. Okay? That was a turning point inside of me. I'm not saying it addresses the structural difficulties we are still seeing. I'm just saying it was a turning point for me. And another thing I've done, seeing as it is a male-dominated industry, and it's not just because of that book I've recommended, because I only read that, like I said, fairly recently. I've also noticed in myself and other women that we do have habits that really aren't massively helpful. And for me, it has helped, and this sounds a bit like I went to a zoo and observed animals in their natural habitat, but I have observed the men at the table, okay? So you observe how the communication goes, how things are negotiated, how you reach consensus. I'm not saying you then have to sort of subject yourself to the rules of the game as they exist, but it helps to understand them. And again, for myself, I can only say personally, I have massively benefited from taking on board personally, not even professionally initially, personally, those learnings, because they are useful general learnings. And really, I would like to say, let's start with seeing ourselves and our contribution as a contribution that's needed, because that is often, if we're really, really honest to ourselves, often there is still a bit of insecurity. And I think it is that self-assurance, first and foremost, that does help in making an impact.
Thank you so much, Sabina. Yeah. So, I mean, I think, as you mentioned, like, it's also women, women should see themselves at the table. They have to be eager or even convinced to play a role in this, because, again, because I'm mostly working with developing countries, sometimes it's really difficult to get even women out of their own boundaries. It's not only men as the rule makers, decision makers, cultural bias. It's like always like it comes from within, so that you can have a change and impact. So thank you so much for your valuable insight. Deepika, if you don't have anything more to add, we can move to our last speaker, Santjie.
Yeah, sure, you can.
Yeah. So Santjie, I don't know if you're struggling with your camera. I mean, if you cannot turn on your camera, you can go ahead with your voice, and we would love to hear your own insight and experience. Can you hear me, Santjie?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, it's Santjie. Am I audible?
Santjie, yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Am I audible now? Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Hello. Awesome. You have no idea how excited I am to be here. Thank you for having me and hosting me. Yeah. So I'm a final year LLB student in the University of Limpopo and a self-taught animation and graphic designer, the founder of the Jurisprudence. This is the first and only South African animated case law channel on YouTube, and it has assisted close to 2,000 law students and the general public in South Africa. And as far as my intellectual property background is concerned, I've attended the WIPO summer school for 2022, yes. And I've served in the Technology Transfer Office, where I was mainly tasked with administrative duties. And I hold a WIPO General Certificate on a WIPO General Course on IP certificate. And I have successfully registered a trademark in the Salvation Office. So now let's move into why I chose IP. Am I still audible? Hello?
Yeah, you are. We are listening to
Hello?
you. Yeah,
Okay.
We are hearing you.
Hello? Okay, awesome. Thank you. The reasons why I chose IP was because I was fortunate enough to have a mentor who literally was patient and kind to expose me to the IP law. He's a manager in the Technology Transfer Office in my university, Mr. Thabo Kgole. And I would like to think I've always been in IP, even though then I was not calling, I didn't know it was IP. Allow me to play the sound. I hope you can hear it too. It's a hip hop pipe sound, and after who was the old sound, I gave the sound. Let me just play it once more. Yes. So even before I started studying my LLB degree, I was curious who was the owner and whether I have requested and been granted consent to use this sound, because it has been all over movies, podcasts, and videos. So yeah, and guess what? Now my hometown music is rapidly becoming an international sensation, and as a result, international artists are using our beats and sound, and I'm not really sure, like this, the media is silent on artists, so I'm just assuming they're just exploiting the IP without consent. So, yeah, and then I would like to be part of the main reason why I would like into the IP. I would like to be part of the. I would like to be part in developing the legal frameworks which would govern social media laws, as there are a lot of exploitations without consent. And why this implement this legal frameworks on social medias is because social medias are no longer just entertaining platforms. They are actually in sources for many other people around the world. So I see it fit. There should be regulation, legal regulation on these social media platforms. And the challenges, I would say, is the awareness, as Deepika has already, I would say is the awareness, or the way in which this information is delivered or privileged enough to have courses and videos on the different forms of IP, your copyright, your trademark, your know-how. However, the survey, I've also realized that young people are, then most of them are not really aware of intellectual property. So I think the problem would be the awareness, since now the knowledge is easily accessible on the internet. So I guess if we could package the knowledge so that the youth can consume it in a way that youth can consume it, then I think they would be more knowledgeable and ready to consume the IP. I think that's that. Oh, to add, when I was serving in the technology transfer office and being assigned those IP administrative duties, there was also no clear guidelines on the roles. So a person would assume various roles, like your title would be just a student assistant, but then you would be handling applications, and like you would just be improvising on the job. And that is just to not validate, but to say, I understand what Sabine was saying when she said sometimes she spoke something about no clear no clear job guidelines or no clear job duties. So yeah, that's the challenge that I came across when I was in the technology transfer office and serving as a student assistant. That's that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Santi. It would be really great to see your face as well, but I would assume that the internet connection
Hello.
might not be so stable. But thank you so much for providing your own experience. Yeah, I think like Deepika and Sabina, they're like discussing, raising the matter on the service provider side, the women who are in charge to provide IP services to main users, innovators, inventors. But on Santjie side, maybe it's more like both service provider and also user of the system as a woman entrepreneur. But yeah, so I don't know, like if the audience has any question, because our audience is really quiet today, but feel free to ask your questions, because we are just, we only have 10 minutes left, so feel free to ask your questions. And yeah, but Santjie, my question is like, as you mentioned, the social media is really playing a major role today. Like we call it like digital, like platforms for generating money and income. And of course, many women are active in digital platforms for their own business as women entrepreneurs, either as solo entrepreneurs or as firms or even big organizations. So you were mentioning to the awareness raising as one of the solutions to be provided to enhance the role of women. What are the other solutions that you think that would help you in your own sector, your own country, so that you can develop with your own business?
Actually, I was inspired after seeing the survey, and I am planning to do a series on my YouTube channel about IP for artists. So yeah, after this workshop, I'll be working on compiling a series specifically for content creators to so that they can familiarize themselves with this IP, with IP laws and regulations. So yeah, I definitely think through videos, with videos I can easily get a hold of many content creators because they are constantly streaming and scrolling on YouTube, on various social media platforms. So yeah, I really think it'd be effective for me to compile a series of videos for content creators. Yeah.
Yeah, great. I mean, you know what we always recommend is like, of course, awareness raising and training is really the key as the very first step, so that women know how to use the IP system and the advantages that the system can bring. But at the same time, as you have seen in the survey as well, like having the sustainable result is much more important than 1, 2, 3 ad hoc training. I mean, I think YouTube is a great idea because everything would stay there, and people can always refer over and over to hear what you say and learn from your own experience and your own expertise. But at the same time, what we are dealing a lot recently, and it's getting more and more, it's just every day I receive requests like for mentorship and creating the hub of women, because the mentorship helps you to have some sort of constant interaction and some sort of not supervision, but you can have continuous guidance to your mentees or to the businesses, and through this interaction you can learn a lot. And what we call also reverse mentoring is like you can have like a mutual interaction with your mentors, so that you can learn from each other. You share your own experiences, the opportunities you had, the challenges you face. And because we do this mentorship in different countries, different mentors from different regions, and different mentees based in different regions. So this, knowledge sharing from different perspectives, it really helps to, to provide more and more insight and sustainable solution to women so that they can advance in their own business. Marva, if you want to add something on that, please.
Yes, thank you. So I was thinking about what Sabine said a few minutes ago about us having some insecurities, and I just thought about my own journey. Like I became a European patent attorney, and then I quit my job, became a freelancer, and I thought that okay, I should maybe do a PhD because it would make me a better patent attorney. I can serve my clients well. But then it was difficult to balance everything at once. I had a burnout and I had a freelancer and I had no mentor because it was difficult to reach out to people and ask for mentorship. So if any of you has any experience like how to approach or how to seek out for a mentor or anything you can say about this? Because it's a challenge. I mean, I faced it at least, but what do you think about this?
Yeah, that's really true. I think sometimes finding a relevant mentor is much more challenging than finding approaching the mentees, as the women. So Sabina, I mean, you wanted to share some insight on this, please.
Yes, I agree that can be a challenge. And again, one thing I would say, if you can't find a mentor, be a mentor. Doesn't help. I realize that's not very helpful. I've also read something very interesting about mentorship versus sponsorship. Now, this might be the same challenge, okay? There's just maybe not as many as we'd like. Now, the first thing is network as much as you can. I have only become very active on LinkedIn in the recent months. I used to be a very passive consumer. And so it's been about 3 months, and I cannot believe some of the connections I've made. And be clear about what you would like and what you can contribute. Be very clear. I think that's another thing that takes some practice. At least for me, it took practice to say, this is what I want to do. This is what I have in mind. Can you help me? Be quite clear about that. And of course, sponsorship would then, the difference would then be having people who actually put your name forward. Again, just to have that confidence to say, this is what I'm doing. I have identified a gap, or this is my plan for my future direction. Do you know people who might need this, or can you put me in touch with people? And to have people who really speak for you and put in a good word for you. And I think that goes beyond mentorship even. But I think the main thing is just to network as much as you can. I was actually amazed at how much of a network amongst women, generally in IP, but also amongst women, I thought there was nothing available. I am absolutely amazed at how much there is and how interconnected we are increasingly becoming. So I think that would be my main tip, and to really be clear about what you want to contribute, where you want to get to, and whose help you need. Exactly. And not be shy to ask for that help.
Sabina, in terms of networking and the use of LinkedIn, to be honest, since pandemic, I mean, we're all here because of LinkedIn, right? We know all, like we know each other through LinkedIn. I can say with no doubt, all of the projects I'm dealing with now, my training, webinars, in-person events, mentorship, all of them came through LinkedIn. And to be honest, I don't like to be so exposed on LinkedIn, sometimes you don't want to, but when you see that people are coming to you, they are getting insight, and and a strong network of women and also men who are supporting. And recently, I really, really, really a very interesting, I mean, we are interacting with each other, a very interesting firm here in Switzerland that they are providing, how do you call it? solutions for women inclusion in the industry. So they are really into women empowerment as men. So this is again something that came through LinkedIn. So Jetane is also asking the best advice. I think this can be relevant to all of your speakers, that what would be the best advice you can give women in IP to balance all aspects of life and work? Maybe Sabina, you start, and then Deepika, and then...
I think, at the risk of repeating myself, first and foremost, first of all, I would say become very selfish and very clear about your priorities. Define your own priorities first and foremost before you go about wanting to implement them and discuss them with others. Okay? So be very clear where your personal priorities lie, both professionally and in your personal life. And then the same thing, be ruthless. I think we could all do with being a bit, and I don't mean in a bad way, but be very clear and insist on that. It's up to you to then make sure this happens. There's not going to be anyone who says, to be honest, I think you could work a little less. No, that's not going to happen. So I think, again, it's putting yourself in the driver's seat would be my advice, and being very clear first and foremost in yourself, and taking that ownership for how you want things to look. I can speak from experience. It did work for me. I'm not saying I'm the general example for this, but it can work once you have that clarity for yourself.
Deepika?
Yes, I mean, it's almost the same thing, but I would say that I think everybody have taken a flight in their life, and you must have heard this one advice which they say about life jacket: help yourself first and then help others. So I think, as what Sabine say, I wanted to summarize the same thing, that it is basically about, we talk about men and women, but it's not just about men versus women. It's more about awareness in women, what they wanted to do. I mean, do they really wanted to do what they are currently doing it or not? So if you talk about having a balance in life and work, I feel that you should be happy first at what you are doing, be it a homemaker or in outside career. If you're working, you should be satisfied and happy in what you are doing, and then only you can make others happy. If you are not happy in your in your when you're handling home, if you are not happy in your work, you're not feeling satisfied, you're not feeling motivated at all, you will have the same behavior at your in your personal life as well, and that will not help you and others at all. So it should be like, you should be ambitious, you should be motivated to do what you want to do. I think there is nobody, at one point of time, nobody will come to you and tell you you can do this or that. It in the beginning, maybe there will be some people who can help you guide a little bit, but after that they will just leave it to you to handle it. It's your life. So you should be strong enough to take decisions. Of course, you should build a strong network, to have guidance over LinkedIn or wherever, in your personal, with your friends, family, whoever you can have the guidance. They should help you guide you throughout where you need. But ultimately, it's your decision, what you wanted to do. Be a leadership role, be a normal managing anything, or managing home, anyways. So yeah, I think it's your career is in your hands. So or your life is in your hands. Nobody's going to nobody can take it from your hand, and nobody can give something to you to handle it. It's up to you. It's your choice. And women have started making choices. I believe I see now in these days, in over LinkedIn also, I see so many great leader women in the world, and I feel happy to see that. And I wish I also will become a leader someday in my upcoming future, in IP or anywhere. So yeah, I think you should be confident enough to make your choices to keep yourself happy and then others happy.
Thank you so much, Deepika. We have less than 1 minute left, and
I'm so sorry for
no
taking
worries,
time.
no worries. I mean, we can continue for hours because this is a very
Of
interesting
course.
discussion. And Santjie, as a closing remark, if you want to add something.
Yeah, they've said a mouthful, and I can't agree or I can't disagree. Yeah, it's important that everything starts in the mindset before you start executing, before you have plans of having lots of achieving goals. It needs to start in the mindset. Sabina had a word, be selfish. In my head was sacrifice, because yeah, if it's being selfish, sometimes no, sometimes you can't really be. Situation forces you not to be selfish, but rather the name sacrifice can reap do sacrifices that can reap benefits. So yeah, before I rumble over, I'll just say, yeah, start whatever you plan, fix your mindset first. Check with your mindset if your mindset it's agreeing with what you want to pursue, and then from your mindset, then to planning your goals and then execution. Yeah, that's that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Santjie. Thank you so much, ladies, really, for this interesting discussion. One hour is not really enough. I mean, personally, I would like to sit with you, chat with you, have over a coffee, like to learn from you, because you are coming more on the, like the, how do you call it? Technical side. I'm coming from policy side. So it's really important to have this interaction. And I really hope that we can continue this conversation, because this was the very first panel that we had on behalf of the Women Committee of I3PM. So we will continue the live sessions. And yeah, because, awareness raising is our role, of course, to make an impact. And if you have anything to add as your final remarks, that would be amazing. Otherwise, we can wrap up the session. Sabina, Deepika, Santjie, Marva.
I would say go for it. Okay, don't wait for anyone's permission. And when I said be selfish, I really meant that. There's a very healthy kind of selfishness. Okay, we are no longer in the Middle Ages where we are subjected to, our role expectations. Be selfish and go for what you want, and it will be for the benefit of everyone. I can guarantee you that.
I can maybe add that, with the pandemic, everything got more digitalized and none of the roles are as defined as they were before. And it is maybe the same for career advancement. Like, you don't need to go from the steps that were laid out before. And there are so much more connectivity through, digital networks like LinkedIn. So I think it's time to maybe try something unconventional in terms of career advancement. So that might be my advice.
Deepika?
Yeah, I mean, not to repeat myself again, but I just wanted to say to all the lovely women out there, like, to be ambitious, be strong, never stop learning, and be adaptive. Adaptive in terms of anything. It can be different cultures in companies or different countries or anything, but be adaptive and open to learning. Build a strong network which helps you in your career or in your life, and you will, flourish. No matter who, nobody can, drag you down.
Thank you. And Santjie? I think we are just, 3 minutes more. Do you have anything to add to close the session? Otherwise, we can just wrap up.
All of us.
Yeah, I think we don't have any more questions left. And thank you so much once again. Do you want to say something? Do you want to add something, Santjie? Because we hear you with a little bit of delay. So
No.
okay. Yeah, but anyways, ladies, it was amazing catching up with you virtually. Thank you so much for your time. It means a lot. I think it's your lunch time. You put it for being with us. Thank you so much, Marva, for all the help you did even during the weekend. It seems like a live session, but there is a lot of backstage work behind. So yeah, thank you so much. I learned a lot. Let's continue our conversation and our contact, and looking forward to seeing you in real sometime soon. Yeah, thank you so much, ladies. Have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for
ladies.
joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.